Hey everyone, welcome back to your Horror Reddit Stories for You, where we plunge into the shadows of true terror and eerie mysteries. I'm the host, and if you're tuning in, you're probably the type who finds solace in the spine-chilling whispers of the night. Here, we uncover tales from the depths of real-life horror, unexplained disappearances in forgotten towns, encounters with the unknown in everyday shadows, and those lingering fears that keep you glancing over your shoulder long after the story ends, from haunted backroads to cryptic messages in the dark web, or chilling accounts of what lurks in the wilderness. We've got the immersive narratives that blend fact with the unfathomable. If you crave the strange and dark like Mr. Ballin, the deep mythic dives of Wendigoon, or Nexpo's atmospheric explorations, this is your haven. Tonight, we're diving into a marathon of dread designed to ease you into slumber, or keep you wide awake. These 21 true creepy stories are crafted to send subtle shivers down your spine, paired with the soothing patter of rain ambience in the background. Real-life horrors of unsettling strangers, paranormal whispers, nocturnal pursuers, and baffling enigmas, all delivered in a serene, enveloping tone perfect for drifting off, if you dare. Ideal for night owls, those battling insomnia, or anyone who sleeps better with a touch of terror. Remember, these tales come straight from submitters who've granted permission. Names altered for privacy, but the chills, all too real. Settle in, turn down the lights, and let the rain wash over you. If it gets too much, hit pause, but the darkness might follow. Story 1 starts now. This one hails from a submitter in the rural Midwest, who we'll call Ethan. It happened back in the late 90s, when he was just a teenager working odd jobs to save for college. One summer, he took a gig helping an old farmer named Mr. Harlan clear out his barn, stacks of hay, rusted tools, and decades of dust. The farm was isolated, miles from the nearest town, with fields stretching endlessly under a vast sky. On the first day, Ethan arrived at dawn, the air crisp and heavy with dew. Mr. Harlan was gruff but kind, showing him the ropes. As they dug into the clutter, Ethan noticed odd scratches on the barn walls, deep gouges like claws had raked through the wood. Critters, Mr. Harlan muttered, but his eyes darted away. By afternoon, they uncovered a locked trapdoor in the floor, hidden under bales. Mr. Harlan froze, his face paling. "Leave that be," he snapped, but Ethan, curious, pressed. The old man sighed, unlocking it with a key from his pocket. Below, a root cellar, damp and earthen, filled with jars of preserved fruits, and something else. In the corner, a rusted chain bolted to the wall, ending in a collar sized for a neck. Ethan's stomach twisted. What was this for? Mr. Harlan sat on a bale, voice low. Decades ago, his grandfather had kept wayward souls down there, vagrants, drifters who'd wandered onto the farm during the Dust Bowl. Not to help, but to experiment. Whispers of missing hobos, never found. The scratches. From those who fought back that night, as Ethan drove home, he heard scraping from his trunk, like nails on metal. He pulled over, heart racing, but it was empty. Weeks later, dreams plagued him, chained figures in the dark, begging release. He never returned to the farm. Mr. Harlan passed soon after. The barn burned in a lightning strike. Ethan swears, on stormy nights, he hears those scratches echoing in the rain. All right, if that set the mood, let's ease into story 2. From a woman named Clara in the Pacific Northwest, this unfolded about 5 years ago. She lived alone in a cozy cabin rental deep in the woods, seeking peace after a messy divorce. The place was idyllic, towering pines, a babbling creek, but at night, the isolation pressed in. One evening, as rain drummed on the roof, Clara heard footsteps outside. Not deer or raccoons, heavy, deliberate paces circling the cabin. She peered through the window, a silhouette, tall and hooded, pausing at each pane as if peering back. Heart pounding, she called the sheriff, but the line went dead. Storm interference, she hoped. The pacing stopped, replaced by scratching at the door, like fingers testing the lock. Clara barricaded herself in the bedroom, clutching a knife. Hours passed in tense silence, broken only by rain. At dawn, she ventured out. No footprints in the mud, but on the porch, a muddy handprint smeared across the welcome mat. Days later, a neighbor mentioned the Watcher, a local legend of a recluse who'd vanished years ago, rumored to stalk cabins, seeking entry on rainy nights. Clara moved soon after, but in new storms, she bolts every door, listening for those steps. Story 3 now, submitted by a guy named Derek from the Southwest. This goes back to his college days in the early 2000s, road tripping with buddies through desert badlands. They stopped at a dingy motel off a forgotten highway, the kind with flickering neon and empty lots. The clerk, an elderly woman with vacant eyes, handed them keys to room 13 without a word. Inside, musty air, stained carpets, and a mirror cracked like spiderwebs. As night fell, Derek heard whispering from the walls, faint, indistinguishable words. His friends laughed it off as wind, but Derek felt watched. In the mirror, reflections lagged, showing him turning seconds after he did. At midnight, a knock echoed. Opening the door, empty hall, but a chill breeze carried dust. Back inside, the whispers clarified, "Join us, below." Under the bed, they found a loose floorboard leading to a crawlspace, filled with old photos of past guests, all with X's over their faces. They fled at dawn, tires screeching. Years later, Derek researched, the motel built over an old mine where workers vanished in a collapse. Whispers. Echoes of the trapped. He avoids mirrors and storms now, shifting to story 4, from a submitter we'll call Mia in the Northeast. About a decade ago, Mia inherited her aunt's Victorian house in a quaint town. Charmed by the antique charm, she moved in, ignoring locals' whispers of bad luck. The first night, rain lashed the windows as she unpacked. In the attic, she found a dusty diary from the 1800s, penned by a woman named Eliza. Entry spoke of a shadow man visiting during storms, promising eternal companionship if she'd let him in. Eliza resisted, but her final words, "He waits in the rain." That night, Mia heard tapping at the panes, like knuckles rapping politely, dismissing it. She slept, but woke to a figure at her bed's foot, tall, dripping wet, features obscured by shadow. It whispered her name. Bolting upright, it vanished, leaving wet footprints fading into the carpet. Research revealed Eliza had drowned herself in a rainstorm, fleeing an abusive suitor. Mia sold the house, but in downpours, she feels eyes watching from the gloom. Story 5, shared by a man named Lucas from the south. This happened in his childhood home during the 80s. His family lived on the edge of a bayou, where fog rolled in thick as soup. One rainy evening, Lucas saw lights bobbing in the swamp, will-o'-the-wisps, his grandma called them, souls of the lost. Curious, he sneaked out, following the glow. Deeper in, voices murmured, names of missing locals. The lights led to a sunken shack, half submerged. Inside, rusted chains, scattered bones. A whisper, "Stay with us." Panicked, Lucas ran, but twisted his ankle in mud. As rain poured, hands grasped from the water, cold, bony fingers. He broke free, limping home. Grandma burned sage, muttering prayers. The lights never returned, but Lucas avoids swamps, hearing calls in the rain. Story 6 begins here, from a woman named Sophia in California. A few years back, Sophia worked night shifts at a 24-hour diner off a coastal highway. Rainy nights brought odd customers. One man, drenched and silent, ordered coffee black, staring at the storm. He returned weakly, always alone, sketching symbols on napkins. One night, he left a note, "The rain brings them closer." Sophia pocketed it, unnerved. Later, closing up, she heard splashing outside, like footsteps in puddles. Peeking, figures in the downpour, hooded, circling the diner. She locked doors, but knocks echoed. Morning came, no trace, but her car tires slashed with those symbols. Research linked them to an old cult worshipping storm deities, sacrificing drifters. The men vanished, but in rains, Sophia drives with lights on, watching shadows. Story 7, courtesy of a submitter named Ryan from the Rockies. Ryan was a park ranger in a remote national forest, patrolling during monsoon season. One storm, he found a hiker tent shredded, no occupant. Tracks led to a cave. Inside, carvings of eyes watching. Deeper, whispers, "See us." Flashlight revealed mummified bodies, posed as if observing. A gust extinguished his light, hands brushed his skin. He fled, reporting it. Officials claimed animals, but Ryan quit. In thunderstorms, he feels eyes on him. Story 8 now, from a lady named Isabella in the Midwest. Isabella bought an old farmhouse, charmed by its history. Rain revealed leaks, and knocks from the cellar. Descending, a flooded basement, with a submerged chest. Inside, letters from the Civil War era, detailing a family hiding escaped slaves, but betrayed by a storm-flooded tunnel. That night, apparitions rose from puddles, spectral figures pleading for help. Isabella drained the cellar, donating artifacts. The knocks ceased, but in rains, she hears grateful whispers. Story 9, shared by a man named Victor from the East Coast. Victor lived in a high-rise apartment during his 20s. Storms caused power flickers, but one night, the elevator jammed between floors. In the dark, scratching from above, like nails on metal. A voice, "Let me down." Maintenance freed him hours later, no one above. Records showed a suicide years prior, a tenant jumping into the shaft during a blackout. Victor moved, elevators and rain still unnerve him. Story 10, from a woman named Nora in the southwest. Nora camped in the desert, rain turning sand to mud. Waking to howls, not coyotes, but human-like wails. Venturing out, ruins of an old mission, with shadows dancing in lightning. A figure approached, skeletal, whispering of buried gold cursed by natives. She ran back, tent collapsing in wind. Morning, no ruins visible. Locals spoke of mirage ghosts luring treasure hunters to doom. Nora avoids deserts in monsoons. Story 11 starts, submitted by a guy named Owen from the northwest. Owen hiked solo in misty forests. Rain forced shelter in a cabin, abandoned, with journals inside. Entries, a hermit's descent into madness, seeing rain people who stole his thoughts. As storm raged, Owen heard laughter outside. Peering, translucent forms in the downpour, beckoning. He barricaded, surviving till dawn. The cabin. Gone next visit. He hikes dry days only. Story 12, from a submitter named Lila in the south. Lila's childhood home flooded easily. One storm, basement water rose, revealing a hidden door. Beyond, a room with manacles and faded bloodstains. Family legend, underground railroad stop, but some captives never escaped. That night, chains rattled below. Lila's dog howled, then silenced. Morning, paw prints leading to the door. She sealed it. Floods bring metallic echoes. Story 13, shared by a man named Finn from California. Finn surfs stormy waves, ignoring warnings. Caught in a riptide, he washed to a cove, littered with debris, including a buoy inscribed with "Please, drowned here, join us." Figures emerged from foam, pulling him under. He fought free, washing ashore miles away. Locals, shipwreck site, souls claiming victims. Finn surfs calm seas now. Story 14, from a woman named Gemma in the Midwest. Gemma restored an old mill. Rain activated the wheel, grinding non-existent grain. In the mechanism, bones, human. History, Miller ground rivals during famine. Nights, the wheel turned alone, whispering accusations. Gemma demolished it. In downpours, she hears grinding teeth. Story 15 begins, courtesy of a guy named Theo from the northeast. Theo investigated abandoned asylums. In a rain-soaked one, he found patient files, experiments on rain-sensitive individuals who hallucinated floods drowning the world. Storm trapped him, walls wept water, voices drowning pleas. Escaping, he left artifacts. Asylums in rain. He stays away. Story 16, from a submitter named Aria in the Rockies. Aria skied backcountry slopes. Avalanche. No, rain-triggered slide buried her. Digging out, she found a glove, not hers, clutching a note, buried alive, 1952. Rescued, she researched, prior slide victims. In blizzards turning rainy, she feels snow tightening. Story 17, shared by a man named Kai from the Pacific. Kai fished stormy seas. Net hauled a chest, coins, but cursed, Spanish galleon loot. Whispers, return or drown. Boat rocked, shadows in waves pulled. He tossed it back. Calm returned, but in gales, he hears coins clinking. Story 18, from a woman named Sienna in the south. Sienna gardened in a historic plot. Rain unearthed bones, plantation slaves. Nights, figures toiled in mud, singing laments. She reburied them properly. Songs ceased, but rains bring fertile soil, and faint melodies of freedom. Story 19, submitted by a guy named Jax from the east. Jax drove rainy interstates. Hitchhiker, soaked, silent. Dropped off, he vanished mid-sentence. Radio, crash victim matching description. Years prior, Jax avoids picking up strays in storms. Mirrors show extra passengers sometimes. Story 20, from a woman named Harper in the southwest. Harper explored ghost towns. Rain revived one, lights flickered, voices bartered. A shopkeeper offered eternal youth for a drop of blood. She fled, town vanished. In monsoons, she ages slower, or so it seems. Final story, Story 21, shared by a man named Reed from the northwest. Reed logged old-growth forests. Storm felled a tree, revealing a hollow, petrified bodies, entwined in roots. Legends, druids sacrificed to nature gods. As rain poured, vines snaked toward him. He quit, Forests in downpours feel alive, grasping. Phew, if those tales wrapped you in shadows. Tap like if they lingered, and drop a comment. What's your go-to-sleep horror? Ghosts in the rain. Stalkers in the storm. Subscribe and ring the bell for fresh chills.